Hi, I'm Cori. Welcome to Creating with Scraps. This is an organization video, well, just my ideas and suggestions for organizing based on a challenge created by Cara Brandon Creations, where in January people are tackling their organizational challenges and making their craft or creative space more fun and more enjoyable to work in. And somebody had said, well, Cori, your space is pretty well organized. Why in the world would you join the challenge? Well, you can see over there on my vintage red kitchen chair, not everything is organized. And while I continually work on my room, it's a constant work in progress. It's not perfect by any means. And I, like you, learn best from other people. So sharing ideas and learning from other folks, we all benefit. We all win from doing that. One of the things I've been doing over the last couple of days is watching some other people. And I noticed, trying to move slowly so that I don't make anybody sick, on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. One of the things that I like really well about this is recognition that different things work best for different people. So having so many different people share their ideas increases the odds of finding something that works well for you. A great example. Cara also mentioned that she uses bins for her fabric bits, ribbon bits, and so do I. And so that's something that we both we have in common that works well for us. Whereas her lace, she stores it on cards, and she created this really cute little printable. And I prefer to store mine on vintage sewing spools, simply because I like it out, I can see it, and I know what I've got. Not right or wrong, just different things work for different people. My signatures that I cut apart and tear apart. I have a rack for the ones that I grab every time, but I store my things in this old paper organizer that I used in my classroom when I had a physical classroom. So different things work for different people. I believe it was Lynn who shared how she stored her paper scraps, and I do something completely different because that's what works for me. So I've got a little list of tips and suggestions here that I wanted to go over, but at the same time I thought I'd pan around my room. And I don't want to do a whole studio tour because I've done that before and we don't all need to see it. But one thing that I wanted to share, and one thing I see often in people's craft spaces, is underutilization of walls. And so my suggestion often is go up. Make your walls work for you. Use your walls to help store your things or promote your things or what have you. Use your wall space. Go up. Helps keep your work area clutter free if that's what you want. Some people like to work in a cluttered space. I don't. It doesn't work well for me, but for some people it really does. I'm going to go probably way too fast here, but one suggestion I have is don't stack. I'll pull it back this way so you can see. Now these pieces right here, these photo boxes, I use very, very infrequently, like only when I'm actually scrapbooking, which isn't all that often anymore. So having a small stack like that, I can take just one down. But what happens when people stack is they have to move the top box or boxes or bins or what have you and unstack. And then that creates a mess because, you leave it out until you put it away. So if you don't stack, if you have shelves for things, you're much less likely to create a mess when you're accessing your materials. So I encourage to avoid stacking when possible. Now you'll see as I come around here that I do stack. And a lot of times what I'm working on will be at the top. And it's, again, pieces that I don't use very frequently, so it doesn't cause a problem for me making a mess with the stacks. Pack it away before you give it away. So as you're organizing and cleaning your space, I taught an after-school craft club. So I donated to my kids a lot of my extra things. And then my oldest daughter is a social worker with Catholic Services. I mean, that's not her title, but it's basically what she does and works with kids. And so I donated a lot of my extra things to her. So I only have in my room what I use. But my suggestion with that is, so you haven't used something in a while, put it in a box or a bin or a tub or something and put it in a different area, maybe your garage or guest room or away from your craft space. And if you don't need that item in whatever time frame you choose, 3 months, 6 months, a year, what have you, then it's okay to donate it because realistically you probably don't need it and won't use it. So pack it away before you give it away. Invest where needed. One of the things people tell me is they don't use their craft room because going into it either makes them depressed or sad or overwhelmed or whatever. And that's makes me sad because I spend a lot of time. I teach in here and then I also do my crafting in here. So I've invested in things that make me happy. Originally, when I was primarily scrapbooking and or card making, I had a lot of these iris bins and they're great. They're super functional, but I actually prefer some of these vintage pieces. So as I find them and as I can afford it and such, I swap them out, because I prefer it. I like those old baking tins. Those 3 drawers are die cuts, not die cuts, dies, stamps, and 6x6 pads. And I made them using repurposed heart of pine wood that my friend Tammy's husband, Gary, he's a contractor and he rehabs houses. And he gave me some of those really cool pieces. And then I made them into bins. So I've repurposed them. And I absolutely love them. Sure, they're a little heavy, but my point is invest in, and I don't mean just money, but time, in things that make you happy. And I was able to utilize some old knobs that way as well. So if you've got things that make you happy, you're more inclined to go in there and craft. Next tip is keep what works. We all have things that are currently working for us and things that we can improve upon. So when you're rethinking your space, make sure you keep what is currently working for you and get rid of the things or change the things that aren't. Great example. I use one of the Raskog carts for my sewing machine, and I've mentioned it before. It takes me seconds to pull it out, to use it, to push it away. I don't have to go another part of my room and lift it up and get it and blah, blah, blah. And it works really well for me. So if I'm reimagining my space, that's not something I would change because that works really well for me, just like my U-shaped desk does. All right, most often used tools, keep them really close. Now, if you like working in, having everything in front of you, then that's awesome. But if you don't, all of these things, I can sit at my U-shaped workspace and I can grab them and put them away. So I don't have a bunch of stuff on my desk in front of me as a general rule, because when I use my scissors, I use them and I put them back. When I use my ruler, when I use my pencil, when I use my ink, when I use all these things, I can easily put them back away immediately. And that helps a ton. Down here too, like my trimmers. I know my trimmers don't live on top of my desk because it's super easy to use it, put it back. Same thing with my cutting mat. Just, it's handy. Let's see. Function and inspiration beauty can work together. I think I mentioned that. Keep your tools close up. Oh, and 2 more things. One is, if you are like me and you don't care to have clutter. Now, I did this video after working on a project this morning, and I didn't spend more than a minute cleaning up because I use what I call project bins. And so I'm working on this journal project, but everything is in a little bit of a bin. So I pull it out as I need it and I put it right back when I'm done or when I'm moving on to something else. And it helps me keep my workspace fairly tidy. And then the last thing I think I would like to share is, don't do something because you've always done it. Oh, I've always faced the wall, or I've always faced out, or I've always built in on my desk, whatever. Do something because it works. And if it's something you've always done and it's not working, give yourself permission to change it, to figure out something that does work. All right, I hope I was going to shoot one more thing. I've had a lot of questions about these, and I think I just put it away. Where did I put it? Oh, here we go. So these trays are about 18, 20 inches long, maybe 2.5 inches high. I don't know, maybe 12, 15 inches wide. And I got them at a craft warehouse, but this is the company that makes them. They're manufactured or SPC out of Wilsonville, Oregon. And Craft Warehouse is a Pacific Northwest company, but it's a small chain. But here, maybe I'll put that right there. These are the 2 different sizes that I got, and I got them both on sale, so that was really cool. But this one has 20 slots, and I have 3 sets of these. So I keep my Tracy labels and my flower die cuts and my butterflies and all those little bits and pieces in the smaller tray. And the larger tray is actually narrower. It's about an inch or so, but I keep my oversized tags and such in these. And that works really well for me because when I want to add a label or do something, put a little bit on, when I'm doing the last step of my clusters, if you have watched that video, I just grab one of those trays and say I have a shelf that I built underneath the original bookcase that holds them. And that just works super, super well for me. So there's that information. One more last thing. Promise this will be the end. Something, I continually learn from my mistakes and from things that I've done. And this year, this is my 2020 personal journal. I keep cards and tags and projects and all that kind of stuff in it. And I made it in advance and then I filled it. Well, it's almost too full, but I tend to do that a lot anyway. But I have a lot of wasted pages because I needed more in some areas and less in others. And so what I'm doing this year is I'm trying something new. So for January, all the little bits and pieces that I want to keep of memorabilia to put in my book, I will put them all in here. And January is my birthday too, so it might be a little thicker than, say, February or something. And at the end of January, I will take this and I will make a journal insert based on just the pages I need for January's items. And then I'll do the same for each of the months. And then at the end of the year, I'll have all of my things for the year in a journal that fits that size. I'll let you know how that works. All right. Thank you for watching. Happy organizing. I hope this gave you a tip or two, and happy creating.